Gal. That's David Solomon, where he constantly has to point out before I get off topic. We bring you unfiltered, uncensored conversation on a wide range of topics. This podcast is dedicated to giving a platform to express opinion, thoughts, experience, ideas, and hear from a variety of perspectives. And finally, an honest opinion. Sorry, Facebook. We're going to piss you off again. Join us as we dive into the latest news, pop culture, and so much more, from rants about absurdity of modern life to discussions, deeper discussions affecting society today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. You know, guys, I've heard of insanity because I watch the news and I pay attention. And did you know there's a couple of puppets in Canada? One is like Jean-Paul Lemieux, and the other one is Melanie Joly. This is from the this wonderful part of the Canadian government called Global Affairs Canada, where you should go to the Arab world and be stoned for being gay, stoned for not covering your hair, stoned for traveling without having a male companion, beaten, robbed, killed in mass for not following the rules. However, do you know that if you travel to Kentucky and you're LGBTQIA, you should be very, very careful because the Canadian government has put out an alert not to travel to some red states, because if you are transgender or anything other than a normal person who may be straight, may be gay, who really gives a shit? But if you're not, you got to be danger, Will Robinson. David, tell me, is there any more insanity that this Trudeau government has yet to come up with? That's insane.
Well, I love your term normal people. I don't think anybody's normal anymore, but that's neither here nor there. But, you know, ladies and gentlemen, one thing we've seen here up in Canada with the Trudeau government is that Justin Trudeau is one of the worst leaders we've ever elected in this country, and he's been elected again and again. The naivete of Canadians is just absolutely fascinating. Stuart brought it up. It's just yesterday, Canada updated its travel advisory to warn Canadian travelers, LGBTQ travelers. They didn't even go through the whole alphabet, by the way. They just went through the LGBTQ community, and to warn them that some states and local laws could be targeting their community. Now, again, this is, running into a movie theater and yelling fire. This is the same thing like what we saw about Florida, right? Florida's anti-gay. Don't go to Florida. The gay community's targeted, blah, blah, blah. Once again, nothing but noise. There are over 500 legislations that are being passed, a variety of different topics possible. They're on the table. And the Global Affairs Canada has decided that this is a risk for Canadian travelers. Not crime in California, not crime in New York, not crime in other states that are absolutely off the wall. But just be careful when you travel to the United States now. If you're part of the LGBTQIA+, then, oh my Lord, you should be advised. Now, the timing of this is interesting because last week, Stuart mentioned Melanie Joly, the Foreign Affairs Minister here in Canada, and Melanie Joly said, the Canadian government has a contingency plan in case a right-wing, an extreme MAGA Republican government comes to power. Now, isn't this interesting how this is being discussed? I mean, really, the statements, the extremism coming out of the government, whether it's legislative or the public service, it's fascinating to see now the targeting. The timing is perfect because you have Republicans on the stage debating. You have Trump being indicted. That's a great timing. But you also have the Canadian Conservative Party. We have it has its, because I'm a member, whatever, national convention. And now's the time to target. It's time to target conservatives. Conservatives are bad. And this is what the government has done. It's fascinating. Stuart mentioned before, and this is what kills me, Stuart, is that if you go to the Middle East, is there a travel advisory if you're part of the LGBT community? If you go to Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, you got to be kidding me, right? It's just fascinating to see the level of politics getting into the day-to-day to try to mind screw, or let's use the real term, mind fuck the population. Nothing has changed for government.
Government.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have an echo right now. So
So
at this point, we're watching. If anybody watched Oppenheimer the movie, and you saw how the government wants to can mind fuck an individual, and you would say, "Oh, that's entertainment." Well, Robert Oppenheimer went through hell. Others went through hell. The government, with communism back in the 50s with McCarthy, went through hell. This is mind control. This is how the United States government, the Canadian government, wants to screw with the population. And it's an agenda, Stuart. It's not a reality, because to sit here and to tell me that they want to ban transgender athletes, for example, in North Carolina, what the hell does that have to do with anybody in Canada? If it's not pure politics at its best, I don't know what it is.
Well, if you're going to go to Chapel Hill, maybe you'll try and affect tourism. And I'm not really sure. We do have an echo, David, but I'm not really sure where this all comes from or why all of a sudden people are starting to go down this rabbit hole. Listen, as I've always said, if you're straight, you're gay, that's your sexual orientation, that's your business. No one really cares. You're going to travel somewhere. No one at McDonald's is going to say, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's in Kentucky. Are you transgender? I can't serve you." It doesn't exist. Like the Canadian government is just gone bananas. And you know what? Those truckers that went across Canada that were lawfully abiding by the rules and went to Ottawa and weren't trying to be more than just fight for their rights, I don't get where Canadians' head is at. How do you deal in this insanity? I don't know. Guys, I'm at my wit's end with this government. I can't tell you that the craziness that comes out of there. I thank every minute that I'm long gone, because frankly, I couldn't take it. I couldn't handle
you brought up. It's funny because you brought up the convoy, and that's a great example of government control. Is that Justin Trudeau and the media literally misrepresented the entirety when there's always some group inside of any protest. There's always a mix of people that protest. If you go to any protest, whether it's Black Lives Matter or the March for Women or all that stuff, it's not 100% all screaming and yelling the same thing. There are protesters in there that want to get noticed. And yes, in the convoy, there were a bunch of, okay, let's call them, you want to call them extremists, call them what you want. But by using that, Trudeau had his out. Now he manipulated CBC, the Communist Broadcasting Corporation here, the goddamn CBC that's paid by the Liberal government to run its propaganda. And it went out and said, simply put, these are all extremists. They're all radicals. And they took him to court and they embarrassed them. At the end of the day, the convoy only wanted one thing: stop forcing us to take the vaccine. Stop banning us. Let us out of our homes. That's what the convoy was all about. Read it, you'll find that's what it was. But Trudeau, who is a master manipulator, screwed with the media, screwed with the population, and got away with barely, by the way, just want you to know, a little like a tap on the wrist going, naughty, naughty, Trudeau, you shouldn't have done it that way. I mean, this is Canada for you folks. And when you said you ran away from Canada, let me tell you, it's no better in the United States. It's no better in a lot of other countries. The pacifism, the bullshit that we're seeing. But this politics, this game that we're seeing right now, where first you're going after conservatives and saying all conservatives are radicals. And now you're putting this travel advisory to the United States, not Mexico, not Venezuela, not Middle East, no. The United States, and only for the LGBT community, not, God forbid, like I said, crime in California. There wasn't where's the travel advisory to tell you don't go to San Francisco because your life could be in danger?
David, you're 100% right. And this is why I'm saying it's insane. I mean, like, the world is gone bananas. And you want to know something? Again, This sounds really, really cruel. And I know, David, you're going to comment immediately. The world is bending to a minority when it shouldn't be. And you know what? It's going to take all of these minorities to now have to fall secondary to a movement and not to the real issues. What do I mean? Black lives matter. Wow. What about Asian lives? What about brown lives? What about Indian lives? No, only black lives matter. Hey, what about paying reparations? Well, paying reparations in California to black Americans that were blah, 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 blah. But what about all the native Indians that have been murdered and land been torn from? And I can go on and on. What about the Jews that were expelled from Germany, Hungary, Poland? I mean, it's insane. People are bending to the minority, and this has got to stop because real minority interests are going to be shuffled under the rug. Like you said, a woman traveling to different countries where the hijab is required, they'll be stoned to death. What do you think they're going to do to that transgender gay person? David, really? It's insane.
But Stuart, you brought up like what about, and it's just fascinating because all you hear is, again, it's whatever the media wants. The media is right now is controlling the message. The social media channels are controlling the messaging, and the messaging is selective. It's not inclusive. They want it to be inclusive. So when the government pipes out something like this is unbelievable. We need to report this. This is critical information. But look what but if you talk about Donald Trump is all over our news cycle. But Joe Biden and his mafia family and Hunter and his laptop and the Ukraine or whatever, that's back pages, if it even makes it. So you could see right now what's happening here is this is a political game being played, and people just one of our goals here on the Rant Network, and I know we do this, is to try to open your eyes to see that, hey guys, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it may not be a duck. This is not a duck. Don't sit there and believe that Florida, that continues to grow exponentially, one of the fastest growing states in the union, Texas, one of the fastest growing states in the union, both conservative states, both red states, call it what you want. All of the time, every time you want to knock those two states, you have to say they're anti-gay. And the media swarms it. And if you could prove to me that, he's anti-gay, again, and I heard it, DeSantis passed that, don't say gay law. Again, in that 8-page legislation, it's all of 8 pages. Please find me where it says you can't say gay. Like this, the expression caught on. Americans caught onto it. I've spoken to Canadians who caught onto it. I have snowbirds who go to Florida who tell me, oh my God, Florida's anti-gay. I'm like, and how would you know? How would you know? You're not even gay. How would you know? Because it was written in the Miami newspaper. It was reported on television. You don't know. You're re-spewing the government's crap. You're re-spewing the liberal media's crap. It's far from fact. And the Canadian government now is complicit in spreading lies.
David, I don't think we're going to get this answer that everyone is going to understand. But at the end of the day, David, these people are insane. Any last words before I wrap this puppy up?
Wrap it up, Stuart.
I'm going to wrap it up with a bow, and it's going to be a yellow bow. Why is it going to be a yellow bow? Because I want everyone to come home safely. For all those people in Florida who are experiencing this new hurricane, I wish you safety, dryness, and a speedy recovery and rebuild. That's all for today's episode. Thank you for tuning and listening to the Rant Network. We hope you enjoyed this conversation, gained some valuable insight. We appreciate your support. Hope you'll join us again next time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for another thought-provoking conversation, noon Eastern. In the meantime, don't forget to follow social media, share your thoughts. Remember, we're always interested in hearing from you. PM us. We love those PMs. And you know what? Rupert, I haven't forgotten about you. David?